Call the meeting to order because we do have a quorum. Barry is supposed to be here. He didn't say he wasn't last meeting. And Rick sent me a text and said he was in Bennington about 10 minutes ago. So he's probably another 20 minutes out. So if nobody has a problem, let's get started. We got a lot to do, yes.
I'm gonna have to leave at 8.
Yes.
I apologize.
We may be done by then. Okay. First thing, additions, deletions to the agenda. Everybody got agendas? Matt, do you have any out back?
I don't have any out back. Do you want me
Okay.
to print
Does
some?
anybody need one, or are you guys okay?
I'm good.
You're good?
Download.
Download.
All right. let's try.
Okay.
Saves those trees.
Members of the public. Mark.
I have something, but it's under the line item you have for Anita and web presence.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, anything from the public? Okay, review and approve the minutes of the March 11th, 2019 meeting. So I'll entertain a motion. That was our reorganizational meeting. We also did some discussing on some other items. Would anybody like to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Carrie moves it. Do I have a second?
Second. Go ahead.
We'll give it to Joy.
There you go.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Old business. Did you get your transportation letter done?
So I did, I sent it out last week to all of you.
Okay, I never saw it, so can you read it real quick? Is it a short one?
I can read it.
Okay, you don't have to
Did
be
everyone
quick.
else see it?
but- Did anybody see the letter from Carrie?
I did, but I didn't read
It's okay. But I sent it, right?
Did you
jog
send
my
it? Where
memory,
did you send
sorry.
it?
I probably just sent it to whatever came up to
I'm pretty sure I have.
previous
I've never
emails to
seen
you.
it.
Okay, because I don't use that sovereign net much
Ooh,
anymore.
there you go, that's probably where it went.
Okay, so go ahead and, why don't you read it? Because we want it for this Wednesday, hopefully.
So I have addressed it to our superintendent. Dear Bill, during the months of November and December 2018, members of the River Valley's Unified School District Transportation Committee met to discuss the directive issued by the River Valley's Unified School Board regarding the issue of transportation for the new school district when it takes effect this July. Specifically, the Transportation Committee considered the following. Number one, recommendations for providing transportation for the school district at 120% of the current budget for transportation for both Dover School and Wardsboro Elementary School for 2018-2019. And two, recommendation for providing transportation for the school district at a 20% reduction from the current budget for transportation for both Dover School and Wardsboro Elementary School using the same 2018-2019 figures. The Transportation Committee discussed what transportation is currently provided to students at Dover School and Wardsboro Elementary, broke it down by elementary school transportation and secondary school transportation, then looked at both pieces to see if there were efficiencies that could be built into a new system. The Transportation Committee also compared the benefits of using in-house staff and school-owned buses to provide transportation as Dover School does, to the benefits of contracting transportation out altogether as Wardsboro Elementary School has chosen. During these detailed discussions, the Transportation Committee supported the continuation of providing transportation to the elementary school children, though not door-to-door service. Additionally, there was interest in continuing to provide a transportation option to secondary school students, but limited to one express shuttle service at each school with a point of pickup and drop-off to a designated secondary school based on the number of students attending the secondary school among Dover and Wardsboro students. From there, the Transportation Committee also discussed how to further share resources that Wardsboro students attending Brattleboro Union Middle and High School could access a bus taking students to Brattleboro from Dover if this current option is continued next school year. At the end of the 3 meetings held, the Transportation Committee members all agreed that to make thoughtful recommendations about how to share resources to provide more opportunities for our students and how to do so more efficiently with our dollars, time and expertise is required. The Transportation Committee is recommending that the board request assistance from the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union in making recommendations about transportation to the River Valley's Unified School Board. The Wyndham Central Supervisory Union is in the best position to address how to build in efficiencies with the River Valley's Union School District, with existing transportation provided among members of the Supervisory Union and the actual costs associated with those recommendations. Thank you for your consideration of our comments and concerns. Sincerely, the River Valley's Unified School Transportation Committee, and I listed all the members from Wardsboro and Dover that make up this committee. And I did run by this letter to all the committee members, and most of them actually emailed me back, and all were supportive of the letter.
Any comments?
And my comment was just, I want to make sure that in the first paragraph, our charge, that I had the correct budget dates. So, because that was really what, Laura, what you were looking at, both at 120% of the budget, what could we do with transportation recommendations, and then a 20% reduction, what could we do with transportation? So that's what we were.
That's
trying
what
to-
she asked, yes.
Okay, good.
The only comment I have is address it to the Wyndham Central Super Board, not
Okay.
the superintendent.
All right. The
Yeah.
Wyndham Central Supervisory
Union Board.
Union Board. Okay,
And, CC Bill,
Okay.
William Antone, superintendent. And then send me that and my,
and should I address that, since you're gonna be reorganizing, I should wait to send it or address
no,
it to the
no,
chair?
just send it to me, and I'll get it to the right people.
Okay, I'll do that tonight.
Yep, and I'll give you the right email.
Okay.
Okay. There's
Any
no
other
other comments. I think, I don't think we have to vote on it, but if everybody's good with it, we'll bless it and get it sent on.
Is there like a timeline for the information you're requesting back, or?
So we were requesting, I think what the general consensus is, we need assistance
Okay.
from a professional that
Alright.
either this is their job or a consultant
Okay.
to give us information, then to maybe bring it back to the Transportation Committee and say, all right, we've looked at the efficiencies and how Wyndham Central Supervisory Union establishes transportation for Wardsboro and their schools there. The difference between contracting out versus in-house. And it was a lot of
Yeah.
numbers. that-
So articles under the reorganizational meeting and the full board meeting on March 20th, there's an article under new business, our item F, proposed WCSU Director of Operations discussion. That's why I think the letter would be better addressed to the SU board, and then that can be used at that time to be brought up. This represents a school district will start operating July 1st. It's requesting basically what this position's gonna,
Right.
so
I mean,
that's,
I just felt like each time we thought, oh, here's an efficiency, we're like, oh, but they already do this in Wardsboro, and that's pretty darn efficient. So, I mean, you need someone looking at the big picture,
Right.
which is really hard.
so if nobody opposes the letter, then we'll bless Carrie to send it on.
That's great.
Thank you, excellent job. Not as good as my letters, but much better. Updates on Wardsboro focus work.
All right, I've just got two quick updates.
Some dates?
I do. So I have confirmed with Craig Leager, who is our representative from the National Institute of STEM Education, for a virtual meeting on Monday, April 1st at 6 o'clock. So anyone that would like to join us for that, that will be at Wardsboro School. We would love to have you.
That's prior to our meeting anyway.
It's prior to the next meeting. And then I touched base with the principal at Gilson Elementary School in New Hampshire. She gave me several dates that we could visit. I was really actually excited when I talked to her. Their school and our school are extremely similar. They are a multi-age school, so they've got 2 grades per classroom. They have about 60 students. Their teacher, or their principal, is also a teaching principal like I am, an interventionist. They've also gone through restructuring like we did and needed to make themselves attractive to this is in Gilson, New Hampshire. And how they do it is they run every 6th day is a STEAM day. So their whole school is immersed in STEAM every 6th day. All of the other 5 days is a regular school day. So they're getting their typical reading, writing, science, social studies within the day. But on that 6th day, the school stops what they're doing and immerses itself in STEM, and they do it through themes.
Through what?
Through themes.
Oh.
So they've got a theme for the year, probably similar to IB. And that's their theme for the year. And they do cross-grade work too. So first graders could possibly work with fifth and sixth graders, basically in teams. So I
Excellent.
thought it sounds really interesting. She gave me several dates depending upon snow days because of the way their schedule works, because every 6 days is a STEAM day. If there's a snow day, then it would push it back another day. But the best date that works for Wardsboro is April 4th. So Sam and I've got a sub for Sam that day. We are planning on attending their school on that day, provided that there are no snow days in between now and then.
Okay, so if anybody from the board is there anybody else you're taking from your school?
Samantha and I are going at this point. Another teacher showed interest. I have to set up the subs for that first.
Okay.
What day was it again?
April
It's
4th.
April 4th, I think it's a Thursday.
It's a
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's 3 days after our meeting.
Yeah.
So how many people do you want to invade their school with?
She was really open. I think you can take probably up to 10 people.
Okay. So why don't we open it up to any board members that want to go, but it's going to be an all-day event, right?
Yes.
So what time will you be leaving?
We would probably leave 7? Yeah, 7.
Early.
Or just, you'll still be up north. Yeah. And then get back around 4 probably?
Yeah, can I confirm all of this
Yeah.
with you at the next meeting?
Yeah.
I'll talk to her and let her know that
Well,
that
just,
date is.
yeah, just so we
go
can, we agreed, I think, at the last meeting that it didn't matter what dates fit for the board. We wanted, it was more important for people from the Wardsboro building,
Right.
Wardsboro school to have, make sure it worked for them. And then everybody else has to, if they can make it, they can. And if we can't get any board members, then we can't. But it was more important to have you folks there than it was to have the board
Yeah.
there.
She gave me the 27th of March, which is next week. I thought that was too soon. And then the 4th of April, and then with
Yeah,
vacations.
if that works for you guys,
Yeah.
let's go with the 4th. I'm just gonna say, let's say roughly 7 to 4. The person's gonna have to commit the whole day. And why don't we make sure that that'll be in the minutes? And at the next meeting, we'll see if there's any board members can go. If only a couple can go, that would be great. If 5 want to go, I think we should cut that back, but we can have that
And I'll have more
discussion.
specifics as far as timing
But
goes. at the
that's-
next meeting.
I think that's good. I mean, it's moving it
Yeah.
right along and it's keeping you in your schedule.
Exactly.
Is that anything you want, is anybody, any of the staff from Dover gonna attend the Dover building or?
What do you think?
Welcome to invite. them.
Matt, why, if you see if there's somebody here that wants to go.
Yeah. I'd be interested in going
Okay.
Great.
to. Sounds exciting.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, why don't we do that and then we can figure out if there's any board members.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
That was good work, thank you. I fell down a little bit on the board list of future works, just a couple other things came up. I do have a list from last meeting, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, like a dozen things. And Dwight, just to be the overachiever and make me look bad,
Right.
actually got
Well, I've only had
his
6
capital.
months to do that, so it's not exactly.
He got his building capital done. So I'll put the list together and then Dwight just got this done today, so we'll put this on the next agenda. So we'll have a review and he's got a recommendation on money so that we can use that as like a placeholder with Lori when she starts working next year's budgets. So the next thing we had talked about was review future work with Anita and River Valley's web presence. So Anita and I had a little bit of a conversation, and I tried to relay to her. She did watch the video produced by our wonderful producer, who's direct back from Florida for his first time, and a bunch of meetings, and was hating the weather up in Wardsboro because I think there was snow on the ground as we were going out. But Anita was interested. So what I thought we could start with is, because there's a lot of conversation, is I asked Matt if he would put up on the screen and we could all go back there what we currently have what Mark and Anita, or what Mark can set up, or Link and Anita, and just see what's out there first. And then that way we can have an intelligent conversation about what we kind of want to do. I did confirm with the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union, they do not have a webmaster. They do not have a web designer on staff. Their technology person is a per diem contract, a contract person who they bring in when they need computers fixed or hardware fixed or software downloaded, and the coordination. So it's not like when Matt was there and Matt was the Wyndham Central technology person. It's not a non-staff person that's just there to do what they need. So we don't have that ability to say to Wyndham Central, make our webpage that we really like. So why don't we start with Matt going over what we have, so we're all kind of on the same page. And some of you may look at this all the time, some of you may not, but I thought we'd start there. Yes, ma'am.
Before you start, could the two principals tell us how information currently gets on each of your websites?
Well, see, I was hoping that when Matt would show a website and explain how it got there, who's responsible for it, who.
All right.
So that's why I wanted everybody to kind of go through it as good as a group. But that's a good question if it doesn't get answered. Is that good?
That's a weird piece of
Oh, why is it crooked?
it's weird.
That's not the screen.
Why is it so perfect?
It's a weird tricky stuff.
What was in my coffee? I've seen this effect before.
That's what it said.
Matthew, lead us down. Uh-oh.
That's weird. Is it crooked or something? It looks straight to me, right?
Yes, it's true.
Just need to move the
Yeah,
wagon
yeah, I
on the
know.
side of the room.
I want to do that. That's weird, though.
Kind of get used to that.
I feel like it's the 60s all over again. And I don't remember them because I was too little.
Let me try resetting, because that didn't do anything.
It's funny, I remember a lot of the songs. The biggest one I remember when I was growing up as a little kid was Nancy Sinatra's "These Boots Are Made for Walking." So I was always scared of the boots. My dad would leave those boots on the floor.
I really want to hear you sing.
Okay, so last meeting, actually it wasn't last meeting, it was last week, I think, late in the week. Maybe it was last meeting. The board asked, where do we stand with publicity related to how our websites, blog sites are working? Anita's probably going to talk a little bit about that. I have a little bit of information I just put together. So what do we have? We have 4 web pages and a blog site. We have Wyndham Central Board, RVUSD.net, which is a blog site, Wardsboro and Doverschool.net. So at this point, there are 5 points of information related to River Valleys and the schools that River Valley serves. So Wyndham Central, this is a new Google site, built in Google, managed by WCSU staff, but maybe the contractor that Rich talked about, maybe that's different since I left, so he may not be managing the.
I don't think he is,
site.
from what Bill seemed to say.
It seems to have general SU information, employee, HR stuff, contracts, PD, and the SU calendar.
So what does the public get to see on that site? Because
So-
I know you guys can do more as staff and administrators. Is that correct or not?
Do you mean what does the public see when they go there?
Yeah, can the public go everywhere?
The public, this is a public page, public resource, so like the blog, it's a different format.
They can go anywhere.
Yeah, they can go around and they can get all this information on the left side over here, the mission, information about the schools, the calendar, and so forth. Place for parents, directory, And then
What's
there's
the school's like?
schools link, this one?
Yeah.
Let's see. It's like a list, yeah. It looks like it links off. Oh, that's interesting.
Takes you to the actual school.
Does it actually go to?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a redirect, yeah. It's a redirect.
So now, which is this? Is this the Dover school that the staff manages?
Yeah, so this is the Dover school page. Let me go back to the list here. We'll get there.
Matt,
Is that
can
okay?
this might be helpful.
Did you get a printout?
I printed out a flow chart of all the sites. And just screenshot of the
Oh,
first
yeah.
page.
You want to pass these out? So if you okay. So this is the Wyndham Central
Excuse me.
board page. This is an old Google site, or what they call classic sites, and this used to be maintained by the board. I believe Meg posts things in the board section, including this chunk. Sorry, it's so small. This chunk on the school boards themselves, and then all of these other links on things related to the board. So looks like there's some new procedures for various things. I know I go to the minutes a lot and I check them out, but these are just PDFs, links to the approved and the draft minutes.
So somebody at the last meeting, was that Mark or Anita, who was talking about that there's all these drafts and not drafts and it's hard to follow? Is this what you guys were
I
talking?
have a lot of trouble on these lists. There's inconsistency in the file names, and then as things get changed, they jump to a different position on the list, and then that resorts the dates. So I am a little challenged on these pages, finding what I'm looking for.
It's true, they're not quite in order.
There is a naming convention that was supposed to cure the Windows sorting routine, which is why the dates look funny.
Yeah, that's not a Windows sorting issue, though.
It's just a file name issue.
No,
It's actually a modified date issue.
So that's the Wyndham Central page, and there's other information. There's, through the years, it's evolved a little bit. There's some Act 46 information. I haven't followed all these links, so I don't know where they all go. But this looks like it's
That's the old blog
the
site.
old site.
And, and there's been no new postings to that, so there's no interactive element left to that anymore, so
It's just
no one
history.
can click on that and ask a question or do anything. It's all now just fixed.
So should that just go away?
It could. Well, that's one of my questions in the memo I sent about archival.
And this is what Peter was talking about. So this time didn't get updated, even though we sent stuff out, it just didn't happen. So, any questions about Wyndham Central Board site?
One of the things I'd like to mention is that to put these calendars and lists onto individual school sites, they're just embedded and then they automatically update. So you don't have to retype them or you don't have to re-input them. You just create the embed or the link or whatever you want to call it, and then it will update on an individual website from one source. You don't have to update it in three
Right.
places.
Just as an example of that, so this is the Dover School page, and our calendar is just like Wardsboro's calendar, and actually like the Wyndham Central calendar. But when I change something on my calendar, and Lori has this authority as well, if she changes something that's on the school calendar, such as vacation, all we have to do is change it here, and it's already updated on the
On all the
website.
others, right?
And that's a feature that we use often.
So does that show our meeting that just got canceled?
Well, I haven't made the changes yet. Somebody has to make the change, but which one are you talking about?
The 15th.
The 15th. So it wouldn't show the change, it would show that it's here. But
So-
if I change it right now and say, what I would do with this is I would say, I would change it to be called canceled, so people would know. And then when I go out to the website, after I save it,
See,
not sure exactly how many times I have to click save.
Sure don't be once.
And then when we go back here, Rich, and we refresh that, the website, it should show that it's
because if you
canceled.
delete it altogether, then you're messed up, so you're better to write canceled or delayed.
So basically what's happened is, this got set up after our reorg meeting, because it says it's a reoccurring.
Yeah,
So that's probably why we used to meet at 6, so she's just, I don't know if this ever changed after we
it's
reorganized.
a recurring event, probably not.
So who would be, I guess that's central office.
Central office.
And we just assume because we send them the agenda and the minutes that they actually read them.
Right. Well,
Well, I mean, I can understand her not. She's got, she's answering the phone.
Sure.
There's, all the schools and the joint schools. I mean, I'm not faulting her. I just think it is a lot. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're having this conversation, to see, maybe we need somebody who pays more attention to our websites for us, so that Matt and Tammy can work on their instructional leadership instead of clicking websites.
so the next site is the blog site, the River Valley's blog site that Anita has developed and maintained.
The reason I chose a blog site on this was because it's just so simple to use. They're not complicated. It's an easy platform. You can do the RSS feed so that every time you make a change, people will get an email that it's been changed if they signed up. And this is now frozen. The last thing I posted on it was March 6th, right after the vote for the town meeting, and I removed the interactive features as well. So you cannot go to this site anymore and find a button that says ask a question. Prior to this time, almost every page had a ask a question button. So as of March 6th, you'll see there in the third or fourth line, that was the last update. One of the things that I tried to do on this page was to keep that menu on the top of every page rather than have a hidden menu on the left-hand side. One of my little issues with some websites is when you get to the homepage, there's just a little bunch of clicks on the left-hand side, and if you're not really savvy, you don't know that those 3 little tiny white lines mean this is a menu. Also, this was easy to optimize for mobile, whereas some of the Google sites don't optimize for mobile very well. They break down.
So is that something that is easy for anybody? Can multiple people
Oh, yeah.
have administrative control?
Yeah. Yes, you can. And one of the nice things about a blog site too is you can enable comments. And so at this point, this site is completely disabled for comments. And all comments can be monitored or moderated. So the comments don't go directly on the website. They go to the person who reads the comments first and then says, yeah, I'll post that, or no, that's not suitable for posting. So that's another thing I like about a blog site in particular, is that you can enable or disable comments, and if you enable comments, you can moderate them, and it's fine. It's just ridiculously simple, which is what I like about it. Takes 2 seconds to jump in there and post something, and it automatically goes out if people are subscribed to the RSS feed.
So then you saw the Dover School page, this is the Wardsboro page, and I think does Wardsboro have central office do the editing?
Yeah, I mean, I can make quick edits when, say, school is canceled, or I put, parent-teacher conferences on there. I can make quick little edits. But mostly it's managed through our IT person.
Which sounds like it's just Meg adding stuff on the big website, right?
I don't know exactly what Meg does, but I think she does the draft minutes and the agendas, and she gets them up there, I think, as quickly as she can.
I can tell you how that works.
Please.
There is a shared folder between me and Meg called drafts, And then on my account, there's a whole tree of all the school boards with archives. And when I finish the edit, then I put a copy over in drafts, and then when she posts it to the sites, she puts the draft in an archive under the drafts. So there's 2 or 3 copies of every set of minutes. And it's very efficient. So I used to have to email them to all these board members and have this long list of different shifting, it's like
Lists.
shifting sands,
Yeah.
but now it just goes to one place and everybody has access at the same moment.
Matt, could you go back up to the tabs on top, please? So she has tabs that take you back to the WCSU main site, not the schools and board site. The school board site goes to the RVUSD blog that we looked at a moment ago.
I think that goes actually to the Wardsboro School Board.
Oh, it's the Wardsboro School Board, so it doesn't go, is there anything that goes to RVUSD board?
Yes, if you, on the left-hand side.
All right,
it
in the
says
left-hand
Valley
menu,
School
got it.
District.
And Tammy's menu is a permanent menu, so you don't have to click on something to see that menu. But I think, Matt, you don't have a on-screen menu all the time. You have to click on it to activate it. Is that correct? Yeah, you have to click on those 3 little bars up there to get a menu.
Yeah, it depends on whether
Depends
you're in.
Yeah, and sometimes that doesn't translate well to mobile. Occasionally. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Google Sites automatically does that translation now.
Well, you have
Should
a new
work.
Google site, and ours is the old site, so
Right.
it's a big difference in the 2 sites.
It definitely makes decisions about, for example, just going full screen opens up the menu.
Right.
So if you're not full screen, it doesn't open up. the
Right,
menu.
I'm just assuming that going forward, 90% of the people who are accessing information are on a phone or a tablet. And that even a laptop is rare. It would be a Chromebook, iPad, or a tablet or a phone. And to optimize for a desktop is just, there's no point.
Now you're making me feel really old.
I'm older than you.
I know, but I like my desktop.
Yeah, and I happen
And
to,
your
I
flip
happen
phone.
to disagree with that, because optimization is now automatically done for mobiles. If you create for mobile, it's not gonna work on a desktop, it's not gonna work on a laptop or a Chromebook. If you create for a laptop, desktop, it will work. It might take a little bit of effort, but it will work.
Yeah. When I do anything online now, I'm doing it on my laptop, and then immediately I'm clicking on my phone or my tablet to see how it looks. And then I'm like, oh, if I don't like the way it looks on my phone or my tablet, then I go back and try and fix it.
So let me ask a question of the administrators. Do you guys, where do most parents tell you, have you ever had a discussion with parents and or staff? What is the best way to get hold of people through these? Do you send them emails? Do you go through the website? Do most of them look at it on their phone, or do people like check their emails when they get up in the morning to see if school's open? How does this get used for you guys in running your schools day to day? Or what do you know, or what have you heard? What are your thoughts on?
It's a great question. I would say that email would be probably the easiest way to get in touch with parents. I wouldn't say that our parents at Wardsboro would naturally go to our website to find information. Just, I've been better about keeping it up to date, but it isn't always up to date.
The website?
Yeah.
I think it's same for Dover. When we send things out using the alert system, we can send a text, we can send links in emails, we can attach files. So, things like the school choice application, we send a link to the thing on the website, we attach it as an attachment to the email, and send them a text that says, hey, check your email for this cool link we sent you. And I think they respond to that much more than going to the website. Although I will say, they do hit our website as well for information, particularly the calendar. They go for the calendar to check on events. You could maybe speak to it as a parent too.
And we're getting emails directly from that. We just got one today about 3 events this week, and I think email is probably, that's where we're getting our information right away. And to supplement that, I'll go onto the Dover website.
So just as a comment, like Anita's saying, the blog site was very easy and it's user-friendly for people to set up versus a website. But, and I know during this whole Act 46, the original study groups through Wyndham Central, and then through the two individual, the West River and the River Valleys, then all the setup, I think all the video recording that's going on now and the websites and the blog sites all brought us a lot of information. How much information did we get from the blog site while we were talking about the structure of the schools?
Very little. Very little. People didn't click on the ask a question button very often. Only a few people signed up for the, to be notified. I tried to establish in the early part to get people to give me their emails for updates, and I think I got 3 people said, okay, we'll be on your email list. So that did not generate a lot of dialogue or feedback. But on the other hand, we deleted comments. I mean, we disabled comments.
Also, that number on the bottom left, like 13,000,
Yeah.
now that's not number of people that visit it. That's,
Right.
that's the number of times that page has been loaded up. For a small community, that's a lot of,
But how long? Is that for over 10 years?
No, that's
No,
since
no.
I started this blog, which would be when you organized in July, after the governor's meeting.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people access it for the minutes and to view the video.
Yeah, the videos too.
Are the videos running?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, can we get one, like, so that they're playing against each other so you can see himself? Go, turn the camera that way, please. So what is everybody, does anybody have any questions about what's out there now, currently?
Oh, what's out there now?
Yeah.
I've got comments, I don't have any questions.
Okay, well, comments, questions, yeah.
If you look at the sort of flow chart, one, there's complete lack of consistency. There are 6 sites that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sites that each has a piece of information, but there isn't one place we can go to get absolutely everything. The RVUSD is about as close as you can get to it because it links back to the school sites, as well as to the Wyndham Central site. Apropos of our conversation a couple weeks ago, whenever the meeting was, I think that the first question that you have to ask is, and Nina and I differ on this a little bit, is who owns the data? Forgetting about the presentation of it, who owns the data? Do you want the SU to own the data, to appear to own the data? So when a parent or somebody looking to move to Vermont does a search and pulls up Wyndham Central or Dover, do you want RVUSD to be the owner of that, or do you want Wyndham Central to be the owner of that? And then Anita, you have a different perspective.
Right.
of-
We discovered that he's right brain and I'm left brain, is that it? So I look at it in terms of the users, and I ask myself one question: when users are looking for information, what kind of information are they looking for, and where do they go? I don't think they care who the parent company of the data is. I think they just want to go, what's the shortest way I can find out when the school dances, what happened at the last meeting. By the way, neither of your websites have links to the BCTV videos that I am aware of, do they?
I thought the River Valley one did.
We do. Yeah, River Valley's does.
You're linked through there, aren't you?
Right, but you have to go up the other way to get there. So in an ideal world, there would be the WCSU, which is the administrative identity for the supervisory union for Wyndham Central, and the only other identity would be the RVUSD board and its business, board business, and then the schools would have, I don't want to say a sub-identity, but like a compatible identity, a matching identity, a thing. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
He's got a chart. He's my chart maker.
So ours just link back to the blog site. We didn't want to have all the stuff be redundant on all the websites. So
Well,
we just
yeah.
post things
So,
back to the.
so in my mind, you would go to the school site if you were looking for Wardsboro school stuff that day, that week, that thing. But school business, school policies, school everything would be at the board level, not at the school level. So if you had a menu on each of the school sites that said school calendar, presumably the district calendar is the same for
Contact
both schools, or
info
5
for
schools, or
teachers.
20 schools, that would click you back up to RVUSD home site. So it'd be like you had a home page, but then 2 school pages, or 5 school pages, or 20 school
But
pages.
everybody needs to remember, right now, unfortunately, it is a little bit of a hodgepodge because the whole system's a little bit of a hodgepodge. Because, well, you've got the Wardsboro School and the Dover School that are still operating. And then you got the River Valleys, which is meeting, but they're not operating anything yet. And then you got, West River's even worse because you got Wyndham hanging out there that nobody's sure, where that's going to end up. And you've got those individual schools. So I think maybe the more important thing for us to be thinking about is what do we want on July 1st for it to look like? Okay, so I don't think we're going to make a decision tonight. I think this was a good exercise for us to get to look at stuff. What I would like to maybe suggest is that we see if maybe we can get somebody from each building involved and maybe a board member or two to be involved and to come up with some proposals or some ideas or I don't know, maybe you guys are all ready to kind of say this is what we'd like to see now, and then charge somebody to do it. I don't know. I guess where are you at, Laura? Oh, hey. Hi, Rick.
The supervisory union site, it looks like the whole thing needs an overhaul. So maybe it's a bigger conversation.
There's a lot of pieces to go.
Yeah, I think
again,
this-
we can
so
still
this
be
right here-
responsible. We can make our piece good.
Well, yes, we can, but it would be nice if it was consistent, and I don't think I don't think it would be to our detriment if it was, if there was some consistent way in which we were dealing with all of the boards and then all of the buildings, which are different than all of the boards, right? So what's the protocol? So what do we show for buildings? What do we show for boards? And how does that roll up to Wyndham Central? Probably save everyone a lot of time and money if we could do something like that.
Two comments. One, sort of what Anita was talking about a few minutes ago. Does RVUSD want to have its own identity?
They should.
If RVUSD wants to have its own identity, which is why I have this colored separately, it needs to, the data, meaning the files, et cetera, have to, the PDFs, the minutes and stuff have to flow down. But how you create a website doesn't have to be part of the same design as the SU.
I mean, you could have different design elements, but
But the data organization is a much larger picture. That's Wyndham Central, since they have the Google for Work account.
Yeah, so I see on your chart, you've got WCSU, whatever WCSU wants to do is fine. Then we have one link to River Valleys, because that's a school district now, after July 1st. And then you've got it rolling down into the other.
So basically, you have a RVUSD site, a
Yep.
district site, and then you can section off within that site however it is that you want to do it. Obviously, the board should be separate. My recommendation is not so much data flowing down, but flowing up, in that if Lauren is looking for something having to do with RVUSD, she should go to RVUSD website and be able to access all the files from there. She shouldn't get sent to the SU website to pull information. And that's, with Google for Work, that's very easy to do. That data is easily accessible. But that is a larger picture. This was just a high-level overview to kind of help you guys decide what it is that you want.
So I guess where my point is we as this group can decide that we want a River Valley's thing, and we can make whatever we want down below it, and we can tell Wyndham Central that we want this. We may never get Marlboro to be similar to us, and we may never get West River. And I'm okay with that, because I think we can move forward while they're still figuring, and again, on the West River side, it's a bigger group, and it's more buildings, and it's more stuff. And Marlboro, it's smaller, and they may be concentrating on other things, and they may be happy because they've got their front porch form or whatever they use. So that's why I'm thinking that we as River Valleys can say, yeah, we want to start doing something here, and we can start putting that together. And then instead of Wyndham Central after July 1st having a link to Dover and Wardsboro, the link would be to the River Valleys, then it goes down from there for Wardsboro and Dover. Is that?
Yes.
And that's a decision I think we can make, and we can present that to the SU, that's how we want to go, if that's what we want to do. Or if we want to do something totally different, we can do that.
One of the reasons I did a blog site was because I realized it was temporary.
Right.
And that this was just going to disappear once you're the functioning board. I don't know.
It shouldn't disappear.
Well, I don't mean disappear, but it's not going to be
Yeah.
as functional as you need it to be once you're a functioning board.
But if you go somewhere like historical.
But there's nothing on there that isn't available already on WCSU and in their archives. So one of the questions I had asked the board is, what are the legal requirements for archiving information that you made available to the public? And literally everything on here is somewhere else in WCSU. So,
Just a word of caution, like, Laura said, that just because it's easy to have our own identity, there's other implications to not running it through the central office, like we found with email addresses. Now, all the schools have different email addresses, which makes it difficult to share documents, and so the staff it's implicated to the staff and to the administration at the central office to send something out. It has to go to all sorts of sets of different email addresses. So just, having worked with Matt in the classical age of these websites, that there's a lot to be considered as we're streamlining the different entities. That's making it a lot easier, but I think we would be foolish to not still consider what being part of the big picture is and how that might simplify some of that stuff for us.
yeah, people would still
Well,
type
hey,
words.
folks, hang on. Mark had his hands up.
Oh.
Part of my recommendation is to stay within the Google for Work, with Google Sites, which I believe is what you're using now.
Right.
And as part of the SU's Google for Work, if it's managed properly, set up properly, which really isn't that hard to do, there's no reason why Dover School can't have its own email addresses in Wardsboro and communicate as if they're the same ones. But that's an issue of their IT person setting it up properly.
Yeah, Anita, then Laura, then back.
Yeah, you would still type Wardsboro School dot whatever to get to Wardsboro School, and you still type Dover School whatever to get to, you still have your own
It's just
URL.
we're in different organizations and how it's set up. So it's hard to share documents
And that shouldn't,
without giving permissions.
that shouldn't be the case if all U's are set up properly.
Laura.
Okay, so at some point, so I don't think that we should task the supervisory union with fixing our problem, and, I'm happy to retain as much control as possible, but I think the supervisory union is going to change their site. The other, they're gonna have to, because it's really not great. And, the new district is gonna change their site, and so what I would envision is some sort of a high level, not design level, but what are the literally, what are the protocols? So when we go to River Valleys, what does that list on it? You know, what does Wyndham Central want to send out? What do they want to list? What do they want to send out? And then what is on River Valleys? What is on West River Valley? And then when we have buildings, what is the information that we put on buildings? So the consistency in that, I think will be helpful. Inconsistency in that is just, it's just going to create more headaches for us since we don't have individual, and the supervisory union doesn't have individual IT people. I think you could solve this, or we could get started on it by literally asking for a small subcommittee, like, to come together at the supervisory union level. I mean, I think it's a pretty simple question. You know, what do we want on the board pages? What do we want on the building pages? I think you start there, and then design elements, I mean, we can knock ourselves out, but then keep the Google at work, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's just a framework.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not there's nothing design related to that. And this blog site was set up through WCSU's Google account. Blogger is one of the functions that's available through WCSU.
So WCSU doesn't have a person on staff that deals with this.
Right.
So that's what I was told. So, and the other thing is, and you know, we've done it before as Dover, I'm sure Wardsboro's done it, everybody's done it. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do for my town, because this is what my town wants. So WCSU can say, okay, this is what's going to be on everybody's page, or the links there, and then, you know, I guarantee it, somebody's going to say, we ain't doing that, or that's not what we want, or that's not what my parents want, or that's not what my community wants. And anytime we do anything at the WCSU level, we run into that. You know, we talk about, anything we talk about, you know, certain schools say, we're not doing that. It's not happening here.
Could you go back to the WCSU site a second, please? So let me just give you an example. Bill asked me to make a poster and an ad for the pre-K program. And he said, send it to me as an image. So I sent it to him as an image, and somebody just threw it on the homepage willy-nilly. Now, there's no link to it, doesn't take you anywhere. It's just stuck on there like a bad ad, and it was actually designed as a poster and ads for the newspaper. So that was Bill's decision to throw it up there, but I don't think either of the other two schools, Jamaica or Townsend, they may have thrown it up there since the last time I looked. But I get it that he wants that front and center and it's important, but is that what you do? Just
So I'm going back to what I just said.
Exactly.
right.
I have no control over this site. I can suggest, we can control a River Valley's Unified School District site. And we can design it and say, this is the link. If you want to go to Wardsboro, Dover, River Valleys, this is how you get there, Wyndham Central. And then we can put whatever we want. But again, this is not our page. This is Wyndham Central. We don't control Wyndham Central. Let them do what they want to do.
If you scroll down this page, you come to the Act 46 information still from the old blog before you come to River Valleys and Wyndham Central School Board. And they have West River Ed on there as a click, but not us.
Again, we don't control it. We can ask, but we can't force them to do it. Yes.
I'm gonna have to leave, I'm really sorry, but here's my final words. I mean, if this is where we're drawing our line in the sand and we're saying we're not gonna be part of the supervisory union on this, that seems,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they'll do whatever they want with Wyndham Central, but we want to control, once you click, so where it says West River Education District, if it says River Valley's Unified School District on there, once you click on that, we now control that.
so 100% agree with you. And getting these things all up and running so that they have some consistencies in the district, so that the supervisory union is not creating problems for us since they don't have IT staff and we don't have extra admin staff to be doing this, that is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying we should ask them to maintain our site or we should give that over. I'm saying I think we should just see if the supervisory union is willing to put together some sort of little group on this so that it can be organized and not creating problems for everyone. And with that, I'm leaving. I'm so sorry, Mr. Chair.
Just before you leave,
Yes.
another way to look at that is get a head start on the River Valley's website and say, SU, look, this is what we've done. Maybe you'd like to copy this.
That's one way of doing it, sure, Mark.
I'm not sure what that meant. So you agree or don't agree?
With that,
Yeah.
I mean, if we're telling the SU what to do, I'm all for it.
No, I do.
No, I'm suggesting, here's what we've done.
We've done something that works.
That's fine.
Use it if you'd like.
What, do you think your supervisory union board will be? They'll just follow along? No opinions on that?
No, I know they won't. I said that several times.
He's been being realistic.
So what is we got Dwight and Carrie and Rick in the corner. What do you guys think is,
I mean, we're duplicating information and not being consistent, so that doesn't work. I mean, ideally, it would be nice to have, for River Valleys, that to be the central hub for us, and then linking Dover and Wardsboro in that. Not to have River Valley's separate website and Dover's separate website and the Wardsboro school.
yeah, I think right now we have to because they are three separate.
I get that, but we're
okay.
talking about July 1.
Right,
Because we're
yeah.
really talking about planning for.
Correct.
Yes.
And so
Perfect.
I would like it to be somehow pulling it all together so that you're going to one place and getting all the information instead of like go to Wardsboro and then go to Dover and then checking.
And remember, starting after July 1st, there's only going to be one set of minutes up there. You know, it's going to be the River Valleys. There's not going to be a Dover minutes or Wardsboro minutes anymore, and there's not going to be separate agendas. I mean, I don't know how school closures are going to work. Will there be a chance that Wardsboro may stay open and Dover close?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, and that's something that's not our decision. That's the administrators' decisions. But you know, maybe the weather's worse here, or maybe the weather's worse in Wardsboro. You know, during Irene, I think most Wyndham Central schools closed, and we stayed open because you know we had less damage at the building site, and we didn't need the building for any other purpose. In Jamaica, they were using the building for their emergency management, so they couldn't open. So. And I think there's a lot of unknowns. So, Rick, you got any thoughts?
No, I don't really have any. That came in late. My apologies. I just don't think that the supervisory union really provides anything. I don't think people are going to the supervisory union website to find information about the Wardsboro school. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think I would go. I don't think if I was from out of town, I'd even know about the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union. Or what it is. I don't think
But
if
you
I
may
were
go
a
to
parent,
Wardsboro and then move up.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I were a parent, I would, you know, maybe I'm lazy. I'd just Google Wardsboro School or Dover School and follow the links. So I don't know if most people behave that way, but that would be my behavior. So I don't know how much impact the supervisory union. I mean, having a link on there is great if somebody wants to, you know, someone's poking around in the area and wants to see what the schools are in the area. But I don't believe that most parents or people in the community are going to go to the supervisory union website to get information about Wardsboro or Dover. So I just don't think that's even part of the equation.
Dwight?
Yeah, I agree with Rick. And also, I like the idea that we're kind of taking the overall view right now and trying to figure out what the framework is first. And that's obviously the first step. And I certainly agree with having everything on the River Valleys in one location and, you know, having separate tabs for Wardsboro and Dover and the school board. I think it's great to have it all there. Right now, in order to get the minutes, I've got to go to a different site and then somehow find, you know, it's all over the place. But we should take a leadership role and create our site as long as it can interact well with the other sites. And once we have the framework down, then we can really get into the, you know, the really nitty-gritty of it, and, you know, what kind of information do we want to provide? Do we want to have more portals for you know, parents. We gotta have homework, do the more updates on, you know, grading, all kinds of stuff like that. That's like way down the line. We gotta figure out how we're gonna, once we have the framework, then we gotta figure out who's gonna maintain it, who's gonna keep it up to speed, and how much information we wanna put on it. But I think, I love it. I think this is the way we should go.
So, anybody else, any other comments? And then I think the board needs to kind of either give some direction or make a decision. Smart.
Just a quick design comment. My recommendation would be you have a page, like Dwight was saying, with either tab or menu, board, Dover School, Wardsboro School, and then that stays there, and then you've got a site that comes up, a window sort of, in right next to it. So you've got consistency through the board, through both schools. Not just taking the current school website and putting it into a menu, but actually creating it properly. Excuse me.
But they could still each have their own URL. They wouldn't. If you.
Yeah, if you're talking about URLs, my recommendation would be you keep all three, but they all go to the top.
Correct.
They all go to RVUSD or whatever URL you guys decide you want. But that you still keep the other ones.
We have a good one, don't we? It's River
Yeah.
Valleys. I mean,
You
can we get
have
any
it?
better?
Not unless you want to fight with that school out in California.
Maybe we'll get him another, director's award again.
Possible.
Laura never brought our award in yet either. Okay, is there any more comments, or is the board kind of ready to put this into motion, or to make it sit and ferment for another couple weeks, or what do you want to do? Go ahead, Dwight, you were going to say.
What are we deciding on, whether or not
I don't know,
to
that's
move
what I'm
forward,
asking.
or is someone going to be designing this for us, or just the idea, this is how we want it?
That's what I'm asking. Where do we want to go from here?
Okay.
I don't physically think we can do anything until July 1. I mean, the board minutes and the Dover board minutes still need to remain where they are, and
Right,
these things need
but
to
I
be
think
up.
the point is July 1st, we can go live.
Mhm.
So if we wait till July 1st, then it's not going to happen until September, October.
Yeah.
That's why I think we were discussing this now so we can get ourselves prepared to move forward.
Thank you.
And do we have the money to do that?
There is some money because we haven't, we went over the budget last meeting.
That's right. we
So
were
there is
talking
some
about-
money there. We also had talked about, as part of this, having Anita also work with us as Tammy works on Tammy spearheading the focus of the Wardsboro School. We haven't decided that yet. We think we know where we're going, but she still has some more research. And then, between her and Bill and Matt, they'll make a recommendation to the board. The board will still have to decide that. So we definitely want to publicize that because I think that's pretty important. I don't know if there's been a lot of comments about that, and there may not be. Everybody may feel that's a really good way to go. I think we get more feedback if we're going down the wrong path than if we're going down an appropriate path. Everybody feels is good. We seem to get less participation. And I'm not saying that's bad or anything. I'm just saying I think that tends to be an indication. So, we could decide tonight to ask Anita to put together a proposal for us, or we could ask Mark and Anita to do something together. We could ask, you could say that we want to put a committee together and then have the committee meet with people. You guys can do whatever you want. There is some money available. The only thing I think of, we ought to get a direction or start thinking about where we're moving now, because again, it's April almost, we're talking about April meetings now, and then it's not that long before July 1st comes around. And we agreed that we would do something temporarily to get us to July 1st, and then July 1st we can also meet and, then have whoever continue with we can get the basics of a program up, and then we can move forward. I'm not the technology person. And I don't look at it on my phone because nothing comes in on my phone. So it's all, whatever you folks think. I mean, I'm looking, for guidance. Yes, Anita?
Ideally, you want to create something that requires as little housekeeping as possible.
It's a little effort to upkeep.
Right, you don't want to have to call somebody every 5 minutes and say, oh, change this or fix that. So the schools should be able to, through their staff, pop on there and fix this or change that or post that or stick a picture of the kids doing something great or a new project that was done. So that should be readily accessible at the school level. And that's what will make it, alive, is that it can get updated at the school level. They don't want to have to put it on their to-do list. Oh, I got to call somebody and fix this and fix that. And as far as the board site goes, the major functions there will be setting the school calendar, posting the minutes and agendas, and that should be almost a self-posting thing, that once it's done, you hit send, and if you created it in Google Docs, and you hit OK, and then it's posted. So the idea is to not have a person sitting around on a retainer to fiddle with this thing on your behalf,
But I
ideally.
think we need to get somebody to get the
To create
design,
it,
to
right.
create everything and get the design that will attract people, have people want to go see it. And then make it so that Tammy or Matt or anybody, if there's a section we have for the grades and the third grade teacher got a really cool project that they just decided to do. Their STEM project is they're building a steam engine to pull kids up the hill so they can go ski down. Then, they can post it. Or Matt's canceling school because, there's really bad weather up here and there's nowhere else is there snow, but there's a foot of snow here.
Right.
He can go on at 5 in the morning and post that when
Exactly.
he calls it. Sir?
It seems like a great opportunity to enroll some of the kids in this design, because after all, they're the ones that are going to teach their parents how to get around the thing in the end anyway.
Well, I
bet
think
you there's
before
4
we-
or 5 kids in the school system that can whack this thing out in a few days.
Yeah, I think the problem is that the board hasn't even decided if it wants to do anything yet. And before we start having kids whack stuff out,
That never stopped.
no. So what does the board want to do?
I just have a question. Is this is this what we're looking to have Anita do, have Mark do, have them do together? I'm just wondering who does this and
Anybody?
the
you
cost
can
associated.
find.
To do this right, you can need to hire somebody. In order to have it in a manner where Matt and Tammy don't have to have any skills, no offense, guys, to update information. It has to be done by a professional.
Yeah, that's
Um,
above my skill set.
I could do it, but you can't afford me.
I mean, that's why I wanted to ask the
Um,
question, is this something within the scope of what Anita does? And you just kind of answered that question of,
But creating the framework for it is something that, and I hate to do this to you, but I'll volunteer the two of us to do that. That's basic.
That's easy. To
That's-
create the
yeah.
charts and all that.
And then somebody else comes in and does the actual programming.
meaning put together the presentation that we can hire a consultant to put it together,
Yes, exactly.
to organize our thoughts of what we're looking for.
Okay, so how about this then? What do you folks think of, and remember, famous person once said, those that know what they're doing, do it, and those that don't, form a committee. We could form a committee of maybe somebody from Dover School, somebody from Wardsboro School, a board member, and if Mark is volunteering, and maybe a parent, or if Nita wants to volunteer on that side, and come up with a framework, something that we can get out to somebody to say, hey, here's what we want to see, now go design it. Is that what I'm hearing then?
Can I make a suggestion? If we're going to form a committee, what I would recommend is maybe our administrators or the board that we actually tap a parent. Because it's hard to get people to volunteer because everyone's so busy, but if as a board member or administrator you go to a parent that you know has an interest or a person to say, listen, can you do this? I think we'll have a much more likely success of them be part of the board. You know, it's hard, if we're part of a committee, it's just hard when we say, let's create a committee, because it's kind of the same people coming. And
Well, we can
we're-
ask for parents to volunteer, but we can't force them.
No, I know,
You can't
but
say, if you want your kid to go to Wardsboro School, you
No,
gotta be on
what
this
I'm
committee.
saying is, we know, I think between administrators and board members of parents that may have an interest in this, to go seek them out instead of saying, hey, we're forming a committee, you know, show up on such and such date and such time.
But this is one meeting, maybe two. It's not a month-long thing of 5 nights a week.
Well, because we have to move fairly quickly
Right.
because we're almost in April. And then if we're gonna send this out to try to hire somebody, then you're into May, and then June, and then all of a sudden you're starting, so.
What you need is just a quick share.
No, go ahead and finish, and then Dwight, I think, wanted to say something when Carrie was talking, and I'll go to Peter.
I'm done.
You're done, Dwight, did you?
Yeah, I'm not, much as I love a committee, I don't know if it's necessary. I think if the board can agree to create a South River Valley site that includes all the information that we're talking about here, then just have these guys create the framework and then essentially put it out to bid and have them come to us and explain what these designers can do for us, and we can decide which one's best.
Okay. Peter?
I think you've already done the work and you need to put out an RFP.
Yeah.
These things here, you show these to any professional, they're gonna come up with 2 or 3 designs overnight.
Exactly.
It's not a very complicated problem from the standpoint of programming and building websites.
Well, again, it's the board's decision, and I'm asking the board, and I haven't heard either way, so. Dwight, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we create a River Valley's Unified School District website that consists of all the information from the district, and have Anita create the framework for us to put out the bid to design. Does that make sense?
Would somebody like to second that motion from the board?
I'll second it.
Rick
Have we
seconds.
rehired Anita? I don't know, I missed something.
Huh?
Anita, have we rehired you?
No,
What's that?
Do that next.
no, it's not.
Okay, well.
Discussion,
For the horse.
we're still on the website thing. So, we have a motion and a second. The motion is, Peter,
To create a River Valley's website with all the district info and have Anita create the framework for an RFP.
Yes.
okay. Does everybody understand the motion? Is there any discussions or questions? I think Carrie does.
I do. What if Anita says, hey, I don't want to do that, or I want to have a contract first before you agree upon
Mark
this motion?
volunteered me to work with him to create the framework. We already had a discussion on this on Sunday to get even this far, and I think Mark understands the data part of it better, and I might understand the user part of it, because I only see what's on the page, not what's behind it. He sees what's behind it. So if we can go one more layer on this chart, then I think that's ready to hand out to people and say, here, design something that fits this. So I don't think you need to hire me at this point for this. And we do want to talk about the other
We
thing
gotta,
later.
that's become a separate conversation.
Right, separate.
So you could amend his motion to include Mark, because I didn't hear him say Mark.
Oh, sorry, I meant to say.
Did you mean to say, well,
I meant
would you
say
like
Mark,
to amend that to
sorry.
Mark?
I thought
Rick,
they were
are
a
you
team.
okay
I
with
meant
that
to have a
second?
team, yeah.
I'm good with that second.
It was
Okay, so
second.
Peter, add Mark, do Anita and Mark, make Anita first. Because her name begins with A. Okay, so it's for Anita and Mark, and they both are, you're both good with that?
Yeah, we'll volunteer a couple hours to throw that together.
So that for our next meeting, we would have what an RFP would look like?
Yeah, you'd have one more layer of charts, maybe.
Okay, so, yes,
Do you really need to create a website first, as it says in the motion?
read the motion again?
Move to create a River Valley's website with all the district info and have Anita and Mark, blah, blah, blah.
Create a framework for
I
it.
think
Why not just
because
ask
his-
him to do the RFP?
Well, I think his motion was that your motion?
Yeah.
Those are the words you said.
How about to have to create our create an RFP for a website.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so we've got a motion that's wrong, so why don't, are you okay with drawing your motion and your amending?
Yes.
Rick, are you okay with drawing your seconds?
No worries.
Okay, would you like to make a new motion?
Again? Yes, okay, I'll try again. I'd like to make a motion to have Anita and Mark create an RFP for a River Valley's district website that includes all the information necessary for the district.
Got it.
Okay, so read it back before we get a second.
To have Anita and Mark create an RFP for the River Valley District website that includes all information necessary for the district.
Are you good with that, Dwight? Okay, do we have a second?
I'm not seconding it again. It's retracting it.
Do we have a second?
Come on, Carrie.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
The district meaning the River Valley is Unified
Yeah.
School District.
That's the only district we can act on behalf of. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are you folks ready to vote, or do we want to have more discussion?
Nope.
Okay, there's no other comments. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mark and Anita, for volunteering.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's shut the computer off, and let's go back up.
It's a paper.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to we had a conversation about future work for Anita. So Anita has been with us for many years now and has helped us move forward with both the Wardsboro, Dover, Wardsboro, Act 46 work to trying to get what the River Valley's school district was going to look like. So we had talked about asking Anita for the next 3 months until July 1st to work with us as we move forward and get the information out about the Wardsboro focus. So on that, if you had any thoughts about what you think you can do for us?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
So my pitch to the board would be to contract with me, and I haven't got a written proposal, but I can have one in 24 hours, to create a visual and video publicity campaign related to the Wardsboro focus. So I would tag along on the school visits. I would sort of be an embedded reporter with the process. And I would take pictures and take mini videos and do mini interviews and create something that was less written, less scripture, and a lot more visual. And that those little mini videos would be posted at whatever level they need to be posted at the 2 school websites, at the future, well, we won't have a board website yet, but I still could post them to the old RVUSD blog, it's not dead. I could make them available through WCSU. And my reason for doing that is because I think we've given your audience so much to read since the 46 years that it started. I think it would be fun just to do a little quick change up and make it into something that was easy to read, easy to access, fun to look at. If you had 5 spare minutes, you could say, oh, I wonder what the Wardsboro Focus people did this week. And that would be the thing that would go out in the email. It would just be, hey, we just posted something about our trip to New Hampshire to look at a STEM school or STEAM school. And that would be in my opinion, the best way to engage people in it, to keep people informed, and to have a little fun with it, and make it a little bit techy besides.
Okay, anybody on the board have any thoughts?
Do you have enough information to kind of post something weekly or even bi-weekly?
Well, I would only charge, my proposal would be for a flat fee, so it wouldn't be like trying to bill you by the hour, but if you did want to go by hourly, I could create a proposal that was hourly, and we'd set a cap on it, just say not to exceed 80 hours between now and July 1st or something. That way, when we use it all up, we use it all up. So I could write the proposal either way, and if I tag along with them and ride in their cars, there wouldn't be travel expense and that kind of a thing. I don't need any equipment. I've got an iPhone and an iPad to shoot little mini video clips with, and I've got a great camera to take pictures with, and so I have no investment in equipment.
And, Tammy, I'm sorry. What are your thoughts? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but, so you can say you have no thoughts right now.
I kind of look at it as like a documentary of the road that we're going to travel. Almost like a mini commercial in many ways. I think it would be fantastic publicity.
So we will be meeting on April 1st, and really nothing's happening between now and then. Okay, so if there's no other thoughts or questions, it matters, Samantha?
Just back on that, April 1st, isn't that at 6 o'clock, you're having the video
Right.
interactive first conversation with
Yeah.
one of the STEM
But
schools?
unfortunately, we don't have another meeting between now
No, I
and
know,
then.
I was just,
So my thought was, is if Anita can get something together for us, we can, at the meeting on April 1st at 7, we can approve it. So if Anita wants to put it out there and go to that thing earlier than the contract, I mean, we can say.
Yeah, that'd be fine. But that would be a good example of, like tomorrow, I could sit with Timmy for 5 minutes at school. We could do a 5-minute, 3-minute clip. Oh, on April 1st, we're going to do this thing. If you want to come to the school. And that is the process, being documented, being sent out. And it's her speaking on camera directly to the people who are going to get this email. Dover's also invited. And we could have a 2-second clip from a teacher saying, oh, I can't wait. And then the subtitle is, come to our thing on April 1st at 6 o'clock at Wardsboro School, and we're done.
Would I be putting you on the spot if you said you had a number?
I don't have a number. I have to sit with it a little while, and
Okay.
I have to be careful not to overcommit my time, because as you know, I still write for the magazines and stuff, so I don't have a number. I thought about it, but it's not right here yet. I just figured rather than typing,
Yeah,
We-
no, I like I think everybody's doing
Yeah,
the
I'm fine with the
idea.
idea. It's a good
I
idea.
just as an example, if you were to say, look, I was thinking of a number between $1 and $1.50, then the board can say, okay, we authorize the chair to approve an agreement with Anita as long as it comes within these numbers. That's the only, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you haven't thought about it enough, then don't
No.
say anything.
I mean, it's 90 days of stuff, because it all ends July 1st anyway. And it's just a matter of, maybe talking to Tammy for a few more minutes tomorrow and saying, what is the kind of schedule in your head about the time that you're going to invest in this between now and the 1st of July. And then I can say, okay, I can be there for half of that time or all of that time, and then I'll know much better.
Okay, so the other thing we can do is you and I can talk at the end of the week.
Sure.
I can send an email out to everybody, giving them an idea of where she's at, and if people are comfortable with that, we can retroactively approve it at the meeting on Monday afterwards.
I can't believe you're saying that out, Bill.
I can't even, but he's not paying attention, he's on his phone. See? Did you get that, Richard? You missed that, right?
I don't think so.
Oh. You sure there wasn't a blip?
I'll just say I was inspired by him.
Okay.
Take a different tack on this
Okay.
little mini project.
Cool.
So she's gonna write out the proposal for us.
Yeah, so you'll get us a proposal, right?
I will.
Okay. So we'll talk before the end of the week.
We will.
Okay, and then you want to just talk with Tammy. Tammy, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'll pop over to school
Okay.
tomorrow.
Samantha and Matt, you're all good? Mark, you good? Oh, go ahead,
I
I'm
have a
sorry.
question. So, is there a chance that STEAM might not be our focus after we go and visit? I mean, so that, the question
You're
is,
gonna
are
tell
we-
us.
Right, so if the documentary is starting off saying, we're assuming that we're going in this direction.
It'll be a study. I'll phrase everything as the Wardsboro focused study process.
So let's just say that you guys have your phone conference on Monday, the day of the board meeting, and then you all look at each other and say, what were we thinking? And then you're gonna come to the board and say, okay, you know what, we think this should come off the table because of this, and we need to go back to the drawing board. That could happen. Or you guys can say, I can't believe we haven't approved this yet, and let's get going, and, you know, we don't know.
I mean, it's a great study, you know, either way.
Yeah.
I mean, she makes a good point. I mean, the board could, you come back and we need the money that it takes to build some kind of school, because we have to be in the budget. The board could turn it down as well, so it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good
But-
point.
You remember during the Act 46, I don't know, Samantha, if you were involved much, but that Reichenbaum gentleman from from Marlboro, remember Dwight, he was videotaping everything
Yeah.
too, and he made a documentary of Marlboro's movement through the Act 46.
That's right.
And he did it because that's what he does, I think, he does video stuff for, I don't know, do you remember him? So there was a gentleman that was videotaping all these shows, I mean, like with nicer cameras or bigger cameras, or he had somebody walking around with a mic, and
Right.
it was like we were really on TV. So, I mean, and he was doing that. Have you ever seen it, Peter? Did he?
Yeah, he was at a lot of the board meetings that Norwood did.
Yeah, but did he ever put together his little documentary? Because I know he was up in Montpelier with us when Marlboro made their presentation to the state board about, and he was actually in a couple of the conference rooms at the legislature when I was up there with Marlboro. So,
I think Dan MacArthur would be the guy to ask.
yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so if we're all good with that, Anita will get back to me. I'll let everybody on the board know what's going on, and we'll talk about it the next meeting. Is that good?
Do you want us to authorize you to negotiate with Anita? I mean, would that make it easier?
Yeah, you could do that.
I make a motion that we authorize Rich Warner to negotiate a media contract with Anita through, Anita Raphael, sorry, through July 1?
June 3rd.
June 30th? Okay, 2019.
Do we have a second?
Through date again?
June 30.
June 30th.
2019.
Do we have a second?
That's like,
Okay. Read the motion just so we got it right.
So Thor moved to authorize Mr. Warner to negotiate a contract with Ms. Raphael through June 30th, 2019.
And we have a second by Dwight. Is there any more discussion?
Just related to the Wardsboro study?
Yeah. Well,
Good.
I think that's it. Everybody good? All those in favor say aye. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. We're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is there anybody, Rick, any other old business in this?
I don't.
Dwight? Carrie? Okay. Under new business, I had an email from a concerned resident, but I looked through my stuff, and I had to run out of the office early, and I can't find it anywhere, so I'm gonna ask if we just put that off till the next meeting, yeah. So, other than that,
I'm intrigued on that one.
do you have any new business? New business, sir? Anybody have any new business? Okay, I have under executive session an update on contractual. I don't believe we can we're not gonna be able to make a motion, so it's just gonna be an update. So let's just skip to the next meeting. So we're meeting April Fool's Day. 6 o'clock is a phone call, 7 o'clock is a board meeting. April 15th, we are waiting to hear from Barry because we have no Carrie and no Laura
For the 15th.
for the meeting on the 15th. And I don't,
I don't hear you. Is that the vacation week?
yeah,
Oh.
okay, so we can't meet anyways. So do we want to meet the week before, so we'll meet 2 weeks in a row? Or do we want to meet the week after, which would be the 22nd? So Dover's meeting the week before, but it doesn't really matter because we meet at 5:30. But maybe because, I don't know, what would work better for you with your, Tammy, with your study group, with your, would it be, I mean, if we meet 2 weeks in a row, then it's gonna be almost 3 weeks before we meet again, and bring us in the beginning of May.
And I don't know that I'm gonna have a lot in between because of the boarding school vacation week and
So even if we meet on the
Yeah.
22nd, it really doesn't
Right.
matter.
I can't imagine.
Okay, so what do you all want to do? You want to meet the 8th or the 22nd?
I probably won't be here the 22nd, I'm going to be driving back on that day.
You're going to have your kids purposely be truant from school?
Yeah, I know, I'm not really excited about that, I just ruined Mary's perfect attendance record,
So you won't get that certificate from Mr. Martin?
but I probably wouldn't be coming to a meeting that evening.
Okay. And Barry's not here, so I don't know what his thought.
Either one's okay for me. I would just
Or
think
Laura.
to meet 2 weeks in a row would be better just for fluidity on the 22nd, but I'm okay.
Rick?
I'm okay either way as far as scheduling goes. That doesn't really matter to me.
So let's do this. We're going to be able to discuss again on the 1st. So why don't we shoot for the 22nd? I know we'll miss you, but at least there's a little bit of break in
Yeah.
between. It's not meeting after meeting, but it does mean that we're going to have an extra meeting. And then we can change that again on the 1st. If Tammy says, hey, I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on and I really could use some help next week, or we'll see where we go. Is that okay with everybody? So we'll kind of leave it open.
The location for that, 22nd in Dover?
Well, the second meeting is in Dover, so we'll meet April 1st in Wardsboro. You've got your conference call set up. Is that gonna be, like, are you gonna do that on a?
Yeah,
in
we'll
the-
do it on the screen. Yeah.
Okay. And that's your thing, so we need to warn that for the meeting to start at 6 in case more than 3 board members show up. So can we make sure, can one of you make sure that, and then we're gonna need, we will need Peter there just in case there are more board members. Okay, then I will entertain a motion to move into executive session to update on contractual.
Monday then, we'll figure
Gary
out.
moved and White seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Thanks, guys.